Chapter 10. Mohsen felt the cold of loneliness around him, and he wanted to talk to someone, or go to meet someone. However, the only one who can tell him anything is Andre. He is not crazy until he tells Andre, today what happened, and he mocks his disappointment, and says again, a woman is won by reality, not by imagination. Reality. The reality is, he is the reality in a hopeless love, and he does not even find anyone to console him by his side. And remember, Ivanovich. Yes. Perhaps that Russian, who was exiled like him in the unknowns of solitude, could escape the hour, with his strange talk, knowledge, and reflections. Evening had arrived, and he realized that his friend must be sitting in his squalid room, under the roof of that old house, so he went to him immediately and found him as he expected to see him, sitting on top of his wooden box, just as rich people sit on a chaise longue. And in his hands was a huge book, pouring from its pages, just as a German drinks from a foamy cup of beer. As soon as he raised his head and saw the boy, until his dark secrets brightened and his withered face revived a little. He dropped the book from his hand and got up to prepare a suitable place for the visitor to sit. Mohsen stopped him with a quick gesture, and he took the initiative and sat like him on the edge of the box, and was silent for a while, and it seemed that he wanted to say something to himself, and he did not hesitate. Long, he burst out in spite of himself, Monsieur Ivan. I'm not happy, and maybe you are too. The secret of our misery is that we live in these closed rooms. We are ignorant of reality and its direct methods. Nothing is gained by imagination in this life. The Russian shook his head, smiled sarcastic, and said, who taught you this, O Easterner? It is obvious, but it is our eyes that do not see. No. I don't believe you. That's something someone like you shouldn't say. The ghost of Andre passed through Mohsen's head, but he did not say anything, and Ivan went on to say, reality and direct practical methods. That's exactly all animal life. The only distinction between man and animal is imagination. The day when animals can live for a single minute, outside of reality and matter, the day when animals resort to indirect, moral methods to reach their goals, the day when animals can spend the night, dreaming, in their moonlit forest instead of chasing prey, this day will be his last time with animality. Dream is the upper world that no animal enters. Imagination is the crown of sovereignty and sublimity that characterizes man. He was silent for a moment and Mohsen said, yes, but the reality. So the Russian started, reality? Actually, I don't have much respect for that word now. The ghost of Andre once again passed through the boy's head, the fact that it was his French friend who always mentioned this word, but this revolutionary Russian, standing halfway between East and West. Who can guarantee that Mohsen is right in all these perceptions? Doubt appeared on the boy's face, and Ivan read what was on his mind, and shouted to him while shaking him by the shoulders, Imagination is the beautiful night of life. It is our fortress and our refuge from the harshness of the long day. The world of reality alone is not sufficient for human life. It is too narrow to accommodate a full human life. Yes, once again I tell you that I greatly admire the prophets of the East. The real miracle that they brought was that they presented to people another world populated by angels with beautiful white wings, replete with gardens with rivers of clay and trees of emerald, thundering with fires that blazed with flame. Blue like the tongues of demons, wandering like bats. In this world, humanity has been able to live a life richer and more fulfilling than that of reality. The West also once tried to create such worlds for people. The prophets of imagination, the creators of utopia, appeared in it. Thomas More created Imagination Island, Campanella, City of the Sun, Morelli, The Law of Nature, and Capit, Journey to Icary. Childish games, like those palaces, castles, and gardens that children build on the seashore from the sand. Yes, a fantasy, arranged by the hand of logic, decorated with the views of science and philosophy. Boys' palaces are also decorated with gold and silver candy leaves. But how many people lived in these worlds created by the hands of the scientists and prophets of the West? Oh, my friend, the West lived its most beautiful life in that heavenly dream, that upper world that the East created, And the loss of the West did not begin until the day it woke up from this dream and descended into the world of its reality, crawling in its petrified plateaus and dry valleys. Insects also crawl. The Russian was silent for a moment, then said again, "Ah. Heaven, heaven, hell." Stripping our earthly world of these three words built in the East, our finest works of art collapse at once. All the beauty that we were able to create was created under the light of a ray of the rays of the kingdom of heaven. I know that the West today is appreciated and glorified for its knowledge, explorations, production, and inventions. But what is the value of this in addition to the greatest exploration that appeared in the East? The West explores the earth, and the East explores the sky. The one who was able to immerse all of humanity in a dream that will last ages. The one who was able to create such a dream, it is a reality above the level of humans. We only glorify the one who created for humanity and inhabited humanity, a new continent, but we do not see the glory of the one who raised humanity up and settled humanity, the sky. Mohsen pondered carefully what the Russian had said as he looked at his tortured, angry face, that he wanted, with his strong argument, to create faith for love, and then he soon went into his contemplations, saying to himself, faith cannot be created. It may be with a person, or it may not be. When we lose it, it does not return again, or it may return to its original form. I too, under the influence of modern teachings, feel that my faith is disturbed like a rose in the wind. Yes. Mohsen always feels that he does not live on earth alone, that his life also extends to heaven, and that he has friends, loved ones, and protectors among the saints who live in heaven. He will never forget the pure Lady Zainab and her grace over him in times of distress. She has a real presence in his life. Not once did he fall into distress, but he found solace at the door of her shrine with golden bars. Every success she achieves in life is a push from her hand, every kindness is a look from her eyes, and every smile of luck is a smile from her lips. He imagines her form, her face, and her features. He thinks that she is in the sky in her white dress, but she is always looking at him, taking care of him, and making him her business, as if this is all her work. But there are hours when life becomes difficult for him, and circumstances become harsh for him, and he feels as if the lady has forgotten him, so he realizes and remembers at the moment that in those hours and those circumstances it was he who had forgotten her. Yes, it is only forgotten by those who forget it. We, the people of the earth, sometimes become preoccupied with the success, pleasure, or enjoyment we encounter, so we fall into a trance of our own arrogance. We forget ourselves along with it and forget the sky and its people. Then the sky leaves us in our earthly contempt and cold loneliness. We do not wake up and see what we have become, except for a day when we need the warmth of condolences and the highest kindness. The boy mentioned all of that. The Sayyida Zainab Mosque was the place where he spent his days during his studies. The lady was the one who turned the pages of books for him, as he imagined, and she was the one who gave him patience and strengthened his resolve, and she was the one who dried, with her delicate, pure fingertips, the tears of his first love and his first pain. He was not alone. Ah? How strong is the person who believes he has a friend and supporter from the people of heaven? He bore her share of the consequences. If he failed in a step, the lady was the one who abandoned him, and perhaps she wanted this failure due to a wisdom that he did not know, and if he placed his hope in something, he turned to her pleadingly, to stand by his side, and join her whisper to his whisper, and her voice to his voice in hope of God. This feeling is beautiful, and this belief is comforting. Yes, if Mohsen felt for a moment that he was in absolute loneliness, that the sky did not exist and that it was barren, not populated with higher beings with whose lives his life was connected, and that he had been left alone with this earth forever, when he knew how he could endure life for one day. Then a picture of his life in the West flashed in the boy's head, like lightning. For the first time, he realized something frightening. He had not mentioned the lady in a heated manner until now, after Ivan had spoken. Days after days passed, as he read different ideas from the Greeks to Voltaire, and witnessed turbulent events, from the crises of the last century to the post-war coups. It is a fever that ravages his entire head, and his head has become like the rest of the heads around it. A bubble among bubbles, filled with thoughts and events, rushing around in something like a pot of boiling wine. There is no place in his life today for the lady in her white dress to land. And the spirit of truth has become jealous, as the star fades under the sun of his burning head. The burning sun of truth led by Voltaire and Nietzsche, and under the light of this sun he clearly saw new truths and things, but beautiful faces had disappeared forever. Oh, he has forgotten his protector in heaven. If he had felt her hand on his shoulder, he would not have stumbled in his steps in front of the picture of Susie.